Next question.
Thank you.
Hi, Josh Steele, Pepperdine University. I'm really glad that you came to speak here today about this topic. I feel like this is one of the most crucial topics of our day is energy and our dependence on foreign oil and just trying to reduce that. And I agree with you completely about finding alternative fuel methods. However, I think that a lot of your programs you're mentioning are going to take at least a while to start up, especially converting all these cars, because right now all of our automobiles, they're just gasoline. Most of them are gasoline only. And you mentioned drill here, drill now, but it seemed like you kind of dismissed it. I think that it's really important that our House Republicans, who actually maybe as we speak are down there trying to present their bill, where Nancy Pelosi is not letting them because she's trying to shut them down for the summer recess. I think it's really important that we let them know that we support them. Why do you think that, well, it's pretty obvious why the liberal media hasn't been broadcasting about this, but even like C-SPAN's not been giving them attention. Why do you think that is?
Well, first of all, the cameras are turned off there, so it's not possible for C-SPAN to broadcast. The speaker has control over the cameras. But, I want to say something very clearly here. There's a policy issue, and there's a politics issue. And this is going to hurt, guys. But a couple years ago, we had a Republican Congress, right? Republican Senate, Republican House, Republican President. Are we drilling? Does anyone expect this to happen now? It might, because prices went up and the politics probably changed a little bit on this. But it's the responsibility for this can firmly be placed on people who had the power and didn't use it to do things they should have done. And now it's really playing politics. And I'm not saying it's not good to play politics. Hey, we're all political creatures. But it's throwing bones to the base to do political theater, rather than saying, all right, we lost, we goofed, we should have done things before that we didn't do. Now let's focus on what we can do other than theater, other than trying to get a few more votes, in order to change this situation, because the fundamentals of the situation are much greater than any of our individual political parties or political affiliations. You understand?
Yeah. Right now, this is maybe one of our last shots to get this through, which is why I'm saying that now is like a more important time than ever. We might have, screwed up while we had control of the House and the Senate, but right now this might be our last push. That's what I'm trying to say, is that this time is really important. And I think that our Republicans are sticking their necks out. I don't think they're doing it to get more votes, because obviously right now we're not in a very good shape. But that's what I'm saying.
Okay, we can disagree about that. I think it's all about politics as we approach the election. That's not to say it's not a legitimate desire. But it is to say, let's focus on things that can be accomplished together before the end of the session, because it's going to be very difficult to accomplish this. We have, 16 legislative days left in the session. So this is political theater. And I mean, just political theater. It's what it is.
Thank you.
And by the way, let's keep in mind, the fact that we're conservative does not equal allegiance to one political party. Okay? And what that means is, because blind allegiance to any political party, in my view, is never good. Conservative means allegiance to a set of principles. And you have to look and see if people are not representing these principles, they do not deserve the support of the conservative movement. It's that simple. And this is a much bigger discussion than the oil issue.
Hi, Ruth Leiter, Manhattan School of Music. First of all, your knowledge is very impressive, and I really thank you for coming, because I learned a lot, and I hope I can focus in on my question. I know that a lot of companies are doing mineral and oil exploration in properties in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. Land that we didn't know was worth anything now is worth 3 and 4 times what it was a year ago due to exploration of shale and so forth. My question for you, though, is I'm a big proponent of limited to non-existent government. And what place does government have in this? I mean, if there was money to be made, when the companies, when automakers and the oil companies, wouldn't they be working, or not oil companies, but the different fuel companies be working towards this? And what place does government have in it?
You're talking specifically about what role does government have in flex fuel vehicles? Why should the government set a law that says new cars should be
Right,
flex
if there
fuel
was
vehicles?
money
That's your
to
question.
be made, wouldn't entrepreneurs be doing it, you know, like Dr. Folsom spoke before about the, you know, the steamship and so forth? So that's
Okay.
the question.
That's a very good question. First of all, we're dealing with a situation in which we do not have a free market. Number one, we do not have a free market, and we have a chicken and egg problem. Two issues. If we don't have a free market when it comes to oil. We talked about why, because we're dealing with a cartel. We also have a chicken and egg problem when it comes to injecting competition into our transportation sector. Because, and you know, we already see this, we already see automakers stepping up to the plate and producing flex fuel vehicles and working on plug-in hybrids. In fact, the CEOs of the big three auto companies said they're willing to commit to make 50% of their new cars flex fuel vehicles by 2012. So we say, make a law, open fuel standard, to take the auto company's number, don't change it, don't argue with them, the number that they're comfortable with, and put that into law. Why? Because that solves your chicken and egg problem. Where is the chicken and egg problem? There's a lead time for investment in alternative fuel. Okay, it's a couple-year lead time. If we were not in a situation that was a national security, a national economic security emergency, fine, you let the market take its time. But if you believe that time is a factor, okay, that another year, another 2 years, another 5 years of bleeding wealth will have an irreparable or a very difficult to repair impact on U.S. economic sovereignty, on our ability to prevail in the war against radical Islam, then you say, all right, what are the things that we can do to speed up this clock a little bit in a way that enables the market to work? Okay, because you're not saying switch to ethanol-only cars, you're not saying switch to methanol-only cars, you're saying make a feature that's a very cheap feature that you're already making in other countries, that you're already making to some extent here, that just provides a platform for which fuels can compete. You're saying don't do the policies like we just did in this Congress, by the way, encouraged by our president, of setting this Soviet-style central planning level of alternative fuels in the market. Right? That's what we have. President, administration proposed it, right? Congress just executed it. Now, administration proposed a set for alternative fuels, that Congress passed an alternative level for renewable fuels, but it doesn't matter, it's the same principle. Can all of us, or all the scientists in the world, come together and figure out what is the right level of alternative fuels in the market? No. But if you have a feature in your car that lets you choose, if you don't want to choose another fuel, you can choose gasoline, that's a relatively small intervention. It's a relatively small intervention. And so you come back to the core principle question. In cases of national security, is there any room for government intervention? You know, should the government have stepped out and increased penicillin production? It was the government that did that. This was lab scale. It went into basically with private companies, but should the government have commandeered auto companies, essentially, and ordered them to build tanks? Okay, these are tricky questions. But so you start with the principle, when is it right for the government to get involved, and in what minimalistic way? And if you believe that we're in a war against radical Islam, and if you believe that time is a factor, and if you believe that oil plays a role in economic warfare of the other side against us, and that we have left our jugular completely exposed, then you say, all right, what am I willing to do about it? So I would say this is probably the least interventionist thing you could do about it.
Thank you.
Hi, Christy Seedhoff, Texas A&M University. Just really quick, do you think Obama might change his position?